Hi, everybody. This is Dan Forbes, and with me is Cynthia Bazin, also known as the Smart Chick. And we're here on Blab and also streaming live on Periscope and having a discussion about building powerful relationships with social media. So welcome, Cynthia.
Hey, thank you. And I just realized I have Lead with Giants green on today. I didn't even intend on that. So
there you go. You know, there was a time actually when green was my least favorite color.
Oh, wow.
and actually, when I started the Lead with Giants blog a few years ago, the template that I wanted came in green. So I used the green template, and boy, I tell you, now green has become one of my most favorite colors.
I hope it stays. I hope you don't get sick of it.
Yeah, I still don't wear much clothing in green, but it looks great on you. So we also are going to invite people to come in and take a seat. The thing that I like about Blab is that it is live streaming participatory video.
Right.
So that means, you know, people can jump in, take a seat, and be on camera as well as being in the sidebar. And so our topic is building relationships through social media. Now I'm going to change that topic up top there, and so we'll take our names out and we'll, there we go, change it right there. And so as we're discussing, other people can see it. So
hey, Dan, also, I just want to give a shout out to the people in the chat stream there. And
yeah, go ahead.
Please let us know where you're coming in from. Oh, why, thank you very much. Already getting a nice compliment. Well, thank you very much. Everybody, welcome to this great Blab with Dan Forbes and I. And Dan is beautiful, too. All right. Well, welcome. And you know what? This is going to be hopefully of huge value. We look forward to you all coming in. Thanks, Be Advertised from Ireland. Awesome. Glad for you to join us.
Isn't it great to have such a global community here that people can join us from everywhere? There's France.
Great.
Is there. Now, so this is a scheduled topic, but I have no idea where this topic is going to go. I have a few questions, and Cynthia, maybe you have too. If there's anyone already in the room and you want to come and take a seat, feel free to do so. So, Cindy, why this topic?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think you know, both of us, social media has been so important to both of us as far as developing relationships personally and on a professional level. So, you know, I think this topic is so important because so many people ask me, you know what, I just don't understand social media. I don't know how to do it effectively. I don't know if I'm doing it right. You know, I'm putting all this time in and I'm not getting anything back from it. So a lot of people ask for advice from me, and I'm sure they do with you. And I think between the both of us, we can, you know, share some things that have really worked for us in the past couple of years.
And a lot of people are on social media because of their business, and they want to use it to grow their business, not just, you know, talk to just anybody and everybody out there, but they're trying to target what they're doing, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think we all are. I think we all, and just naturally in life, we're trying to surround ourselves with people that we resonate with, that have some of the same values and some of the same thoughts and stuff like that. So I'm sure we're going to talk about some different types of strategies that we use to kind of surround ourselves with the right people. But yeah, I think people are looking to, you know, get around the right people, but how do you do that? So I think we'll be talking about that today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're open to questions as well. And if you want to ask a question in the sidebar, you can call out your question by using /Q and then type your question. And that way it identifies it as a question. And for those of you that are in the room with us, there's 8 in the room right now, please look over to the left-hand side and hit the little blue tell a little bird, and that'll let people know what we're doing. And I'm going to change the topic to our first question here, Cindy, and that is, in this day and age, is it necessary for businesses to be on social media?
Well, in my opinion, absolutely yes. And I go back to my previous corporate job that I've been in corporate for the past 21 years. And my most recent gig was for 16 casinos in Las Vegas. And I think this really gives a good example of why you know, we need to develop relationships and be on social media. In the resort and hotel industry, guess what? They all have rooms. They all have slot machines. They all have restaurants. What is going to set them apart? And it's really about customer service and treating people well. And so part of that is really developing relationships with their customers who will be extremely loyal if you are loyal to them. And I think social media is just a great way, one of the pieces to that relationship building. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's necessary from the solopreneur, which is, you know, what I am. I'm an executive coach, professional coach. It's just me. I'm the CEO and I'm the janitor, and I'm using social media to build relationships, and some of those have become clients, and some of the largest companies in the world are on social media as well, and using it to build relationships. You know, it used to be that whether you were a solopreneur or whether you're a large company, you would buy an ad in a newspaper, and then you would just, you know, prop your feet up on your desk and wait for the phone to ring, right? Hey, Dan, thanks for joining us.
Look at you, hey, Mr. Cool.
Yeah, well, I'm driving, so I'm not going to be looking at the camera, but I want to jump in and say you guys are on the right track, baby.
You're too cool, Dan.
Yeah, you look really cool there with the sunglasses on. So,
well, you know, Ray-Bans make anybody look cool, right?
Yeah, even you.
So, thank you so much.
What a setup.
Yeah, a lot of love in the room today.
Lots of love. Keeping it real.
No, I agree. I think, and I've always said this, Facebook is the cocktail party, LinkedIn is the business meeting, and social media is your brand. I mean, that people will go to LinkedIn to figure out who you are and your experience and your CV and all that good stuff. But the social media, the engagement that you have that's where you really connect with people when all is said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and it's so real time now, especially, you know, Blab, of course. I was just commenting a moment ago. It used to be that, you know, companies would buy a newspaper ad. Well, first of all, they would take weeks to generate the ad and the ad copy, and then posting it. Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Hello there.
And they would post the ad in the newspaper, and then they would wait for somebody to respond to the ad. If they had a brick and mortar business, it would be coming in the door. And that whole process was such a long process. Now it's almost instantaneous. Well, it is, not almost. It is instantaneous with social media. Whether you are, you know, Walmart or Apple or Smart Chick, or, you know, whoever you are, you post something on social media right now, and you can have instant, immediate eyeballs seeing your message, right? Hey, Kevin, introduce yourself.
Yes.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Kavanagh. I run a company in Ireland. It's called Get Your Website to Page One. We specialize in SEO and social media. And I suppose Blab gives us a great opportunity to tell people about who we are and what we do. And I think, you know, this whole video networking, I said this a number of years back, that this is the way the internet is going to develop. You know, we're going to have video, we're going to have text around, it's going to be on TV screens. That's what I said. And I think this is the opening to it, you know. Absolutely fantastic platform.
Awesome.
Yeah. So is there any type of business that it just doesn't make sense for them to be on social media? Anybody want to answer that?
I think everybody should be on social media. I have 2 kids, and what I say to them is, if a company isn't on social media, isn't online, get out. And the reason for that is very simple, because people just need to be able to connect worldwide, globally now. I'm in Ireland. I don't know where you guys are from. Where are you from?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
I'm outside of Sacramento, California.
Okay, so
Dan?
Yo, Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay, so for me to contact you guys, to even get close to you guys before, it was a flight across the big pond to do that, and then just to get to see people. This is incredible, you know. And what Twitter has done is great. That's fine, but it doesn't bring that human touch. This brings a human touch to the whole thing. And most people just want to know that you're real behind the camera and who you say you are. That's it at the end of the day.
Hey, Kevin, I absolutely agree with you. I think that everybody needs to be on social media, but there's certain things we need to do, right? You got to do it right? You just can't be on and just be all over the place, right? I'm sure you have strategies and, right?
Absolutely. I do some blabs myself, and every blab that we do, there is a strategy behind it. There's we just don't go on for fun all day long. I like to get on. I like to have a bit of fun on Blab, but some people are there for 24 hours a day. You know, the longer, the better kind of mentality. But look, it gives people the opportunity to get out and meet new people, and just, you know, it opens the whole global market to people. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to change the question now. And so going to a new question, and that is, what are pieces of an effective social media strategy? Now, not only are we on Blab here, folks, but this is also going out live streaming on Periscope. And thanks to those on Periscope that are watching. Those of you that are in the room, if you'd hit Tell a Little Bird again, that'll let people know that we've changed the question, sort of a new topic here. And if there's anyone else that would like to
guys, I'm gonna jump out. I'm at my next appointment, guys. I just wanted to jump on and give you both support and say just keep up the great work. Okay, we'll catch you.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for your support. Give you some more love. Bye.
Bye. See ya. Bye.
Right.
Hey, stay on, Kevin. Stay on for a few minutes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, stay on. And we got an open seat now if someone else would like to come in. So we're going to move towards the direction here, talking about relationship building in a moment. But let's talk about what are some pieces of an effective social media strategy, and let's get to some distinctions between what works and what doesn't work. And let's think of this from a small business, from a solopreneur to a small business owner.
Well, I think just the overall theme with me that's really important, if you're trying to build a brand, and we're talking about strategy here and not necessarily relationships right now, but building a brand, I really do believe that you have to be consistent. Consistent in posting, you know what I mean, and engaging, and consistent in your message. I do see a lot of people that one day they're ranting about politics and they're on they're on some anger thing, and then the next day they're trying to be, you know, Mr. or Mrs. Positive. Is that I want to try to get that like, respect, and trust factor from somebody, and that's how I'm going to start, you know, engaging with you on social media. So if you're consistent, that means a great deal to me to take it to the next level as far as engagement in social media. So that's one of my things. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to say, Confluent Forums over there in the sidebar, thanks for your questions. Come on in and join the conversation. You've got some good comments and questions there. You know, he was saying effective at doing what? Unfortunately, with the Blab topic, we can't go but about 65 characters there, so it's hard to flesh out the question. And Cynthia, you jumped to branding. So, you know, Confluent Forums, don't know what the name is there, you know, ask a great question. First of all, you know, what's your goal, right? What's the outcome you're trying to achieve? Is it building your brand, as you discussed? That can be important. You know, the bottom line is, how do I make money, right? How do I attract clients or customers to my business through my branding, through my advertising, through my relationship building, through my marketing? How am I going to use social media to achieve the outcome that I'm looking for? Kevin?
Yeah, well, the way I do it, and this is just the way I do it, other people may do it differently. You know, I would use Twitter, I use Facebook, I use YouTube and all these mediums to basically build a list of people. You know, I want people that are interested in a certain niche market, and I will build a list from these platforms, and that allows me just to communicate with people and build a relationship with them long term rather than short term. You know, now Blab is great. We can spend an hour, we can spend a little bit more time on that, but I think long term relationships, you need to have that communication with people over a certain period of time. You know, that could be 1 month, it could be 2 months, until they actually begin to develop that trust factor, you know. And I think it's all about the trust factor. And once you've accomplished that, your people will, you know, they'll buy from you, because the old saying goes back to people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And I think that's still the case today, except for all we're doing here is we're bringing it online. And people can see us in reality, you know?
Well, yeah, building a list. Well, it depends on what you do with a list, right? I tell you, I get so much spam from people that I connect with, and we're going to get to that topic here in a little while. So building a list is just a piece of that. Cindy?
Well, I just wanted to address the question, and we can do it later or now, from Cinefan 2009 to Kevin. How do you suggest using Blab to build your list? I don't know if you can just address that briefly, if you can address that.
I can. Okay, so what I would do is I'd set up a Blab on a certain topic. We talk about social media or entrepreneurship and how to develop the business. And through that process, throughout the program, we will just simply give people the opportunity to opt into something of value. So in other words, if they're interested, if we're doing something in relation to digital marketing and they're interested in finding out the latest techniques about Facebook, for example, we will have a course there of value that they can go and get their hands on to take away. Now, we don't sell it. We're not interested in selling it. We're just interested in giving people the service if they want it. You know, but
right.
There's a lot of content driven in each of the Blabs that we do. So there's a lot of content, and just like on radio stations, I worked on some radio stations here in Ireland. They would have a system in place where they give the music, they talk about something, and then there's a slight advertisement in it, and in a nutshell, that's our little advertisement.
And so, kind of what you're saying is that so you're giving them on the Blab, they're interested in you. Mm-hmm. You've given them something of value, and they want to dig a little bit deeper. So Absolutely. You provide that, right?
Absolutely. So that's the system that I use, and I feel that works well. Because at the end of the day, we're all in business, so we still need to develop something from the whole social media aspect, and this is the system that I use that works well. But this is only my system. People may have different approaches.
Well, let's get down to some specifics. All right, Cynthia. You've been building your brand for how long on social media?
About 5 years now. About 5 years.
Okay. Walk us through some of the typical daily activities that you are engaged in to build your brand.
Okay, there's definitely a strategy, and for social media, there's so many different platforms, but I will first say that, I pick a couple that have really resonated with me. I do try to do a lot of them, but I really focus in on a few that I have found that really have resonated with me. So Twitter is definitely one that I spend a time on, and LinkedIn, because they just work for me. So picking a few that you're going to do really well, because bottom line, you just can't do every social media platform well. I'd rather do quality versus quantity and just throwing stuff on there. I want to be able to engage with people.
Pardon me for interrupting, but let's talk about Twitter for a moment.
Right.
Okay. How are you using Twitter?
Okay. As far as, am I using it to build clients? Is that what you're saying?
Let's talk about your tweets going out. Do you use any form of automated tweets? Is it all live? How do you engage with people? Some of the technology.
Okay. Once in a while, not often, but when I'm scheduled, hi there, David, when I have meetings or speaking engagements and I can't be around, but I still want to keep that consistency up, I will use a service, TweetDeck, to do tweets just to keep that consistency going. But I don't do it scheduled out for weeks at a time. I'm typically live. And and I definitely don't have anybody responding for me. I think it's really important for me to be able to engage with my followers. So for me personally, I think it's really important for my voice to be out there, not someone else trying to speak for me. In regards to strategy, we'll just stay with Twitter, for example, is that people like the Lead with Giants community members and other people that have been super supportive of me, I think it's really important to have a list of those people in different categories that you have followed and you're great supporters. And every morning I go to that list first. I mean, everybody's important, but I go to my, what I call rock star list of people that have supported me, and I go on there and I read, share, tweet, and engage with those people first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
David, introduce yourself. Right now we're talking about Twitter and strategy for using Twitter.
Hi, Dave Kutcher. I own a web development firm in Western Massachusetts, Confluent Forums, which you see on my handle up there. And what's funny is I'm not a Twitter person at all. I
Okay.
have avoided Twitter for as long as possible. For my company, we were on in the beginning, and I kind of left our account for almost 3 years, maybe. So only Blab has kind of sucked me back into having to do it.
You're right. Sucks. It's sucking us in.
I have to be back on Twitter now. So yes, it kind of forced me back into it. But I'm actually a Google Plus fan as opposed to Twitter or LinkedIn.
Okay. Well, let me ask you to sort of be on pause there for a moment. We'll get from Twitter to Google Plus and some other platforms in a moment.
Yeah,
you can join more in the conversation. You know, Cynthia, I use Tweet Jukebox in order to automate some of my tweets going out. That's a relatively new platform. Over the period of time that I've been on Twitter, I have about 2,000 tweets that I put into a spreadsheet that I'll actually reuse that content because, you know, it doesn't stay very long for people to see it. But I engage live. So I'm looking at Twitter. You know, I just take a few seconds constantly throughout the day and see who is retweeting or mentioning me, and I'll respond back to them. And then I use the power of lists on Twitter. So that I have my A list of people, and I have some topical lists of people that I want to engage with, and I will look at what they are tweeting, and I will retweet their content. It's interesting how some of them never respond to my retweeting, and I can't respond to everybody who retweets me. But I will look for those that are you know, sort of surfacing to the top. They're getting my attention because of their engagement, and I'll reach out and say thank you. I mean, I've got, and I don't consider myself a huge Twitter player. I've got 35,000 followers, and it's just not possible for me to thank everybody now that's following me or mentioning me or retweeting me, or else my stream would just be overloaded with that. So how do you deal with you know, with a volume of followers? I think you might have alluded to that, Cynthia.
Well, you know what? You have to, you know, just prioritize. You know what I mean? You have to prioritize. And I kind of know the people that I have engaged with, you know, one day, and then maybe the next day I will engage with others. Is that bottom line? You have to time block social media. You can be on there all day long. But the things I do, another thing that I do for strategies, just so I can do it effectively, is like blogs and stuff that people post on Twitter, is that I time block at that. I favorite them on Twitter. If I see something that's of interest to me, but I know I just can't stand there and just, you know, read these blogs and retweet them and engage right away, I favorite those blogs that I want to take a look at. And then I have a designated period of time that I will look through those blogs, comment on their blog, and retweet them. So that works for me.
Okay, and I use the favorite feature sort of as a way to say, I saw what you did and thank you for doing that. As a matter of fact, I wish Twitter would come up with some other button, you know, maybe a thank you button or something. But I sort of use favorite to say, hey, I saw that, and I just want to acknowledge that. So let's talk for a moment about some of the other platforms like Google Plus, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So David, how are you using, or how do you suggest people use those type of platforms for effectively building their brand or attracting customers and clients?
So, I mean, I think, well, I'll tell you about how I'm using it first, but I mean, Google Plus, you know, the difference of Google Plus is that you can have really long form content on there and long form answers. So you can really get into in-depth conversations as opposed to a back and forth 140 character, you know, tiny little snippets of conversations. When I've had posts that I've shared up there with the people that are following me, with my audience, that the threads have gone on for 100 comments, and at the end of the day, the content in the comments dwarfed the actual post by 1,000-fold, just by the depth and breadth of the conversation. And in doing so, you build an audience, but you also build and earn that trust factor because you're being associated to this great conversation, this great discourse that I think is missing in a lot of the other platforms. How it translates back is that, you know, it is about building that trust and that experience level and how people view you and how that translates into your business goals. Why, you know, it sticks in their mind because they had this great conversation and they read this great post. It's not just those little snippets of conversation piece.
Yeah.
But then again, Google Plus is kind of an odd place. I mean,
Let me say hello to Roxanne. Hey, Roxanne.
Hi.
Introduce yourself. Tell us where you are blabbing from.
Blabbing from? Well, like David, I was on Google Plus. I still keep in touch with my community. And after coming on Blab, my Twitter has grown, and it's amazing how many people you get to know better here and Twitter, because I have more people following me on my blog now, which is great. And I started having now my own blabs,
Nice.
and joining as being like a co-host, which is great.
Yeah. Where did you say you're from, Roxanne?
I started out, I'm from North Carolina. Is that what you mean?
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, and David, before you go today, I just want to let you know, Westfield State. That's where I went to school.
Oh, really? So right around the corner from me.
Yeah, Westfield State in Western Massachusetts. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that, in Springfield College
Very cool.
for graduate school. All right. Well, Roxanne, thank you so much for joining in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Roxanne. I'm going to make your seat available and offer that to someone else. Thank you, Roxanne.
I think what you
Have
guys
an
are
awesome
saying is
day.
great, though. I mean, like, it's really about tying it all into your goals and strategy. I mean, that's why I was asking in the beginning, what are you trying to ask? What's your purpose in doing it? And if you're not tying it into goals, which is something that a lot of businesses don't have in the beginning, you're just wasting time and effort and resources. I work with a lot of small business owners, and they're like, well, everyone's telling me I have to be on Twitter. I have to do this. I have to do that. I'm like, is anyone in the area that's looking for your product actually on Twitter and following you, and why? Why are you going to be doing all this stuff? Is it actually a valuable use of your time? And that's
Right.
That's the problem that a lot of small businesses especially have trouble with, is figuring out, okay, well, what's my strategy and why am I trying to do this, and what's the return on investment?
Yeah. By the way, Jimmy on Periscope is leaving some comments talking about goals and how important it is to have goals. Now, I'm an executive coach, so I talk with my clients about vision, mission, strategy, all of those things. Until you know where you're going, how can you ever decide how you're going to get there? So let's see, we got Yolanda coming on. Hey, Yolanda.
Hey, I was just writing you a note.
Hi there. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome.
Introduce yourself, telling us from where you are blabbing, first of all.
Yeah, well, this is my first time sitting in on a blab. I've kind of stood back a little bit. So I saw social media, so I jumped in, really excited. So I'm here in Texas, and I'm an education blabber.
Where in Texas?
Houston.
Okay, I'm in Austin.
Oh, hello, Texan.
So how do you
Just down the street. But yeah, I saw social media and saw you all talking about Twitter, and that is my addiction, absolute addiction. And I'm actually co-hosting my first blab today about the new financial aid information that the president's putting out. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, great. I just followed you here on Blab, and let me click Twitter to make sure I'm following you. Let's see.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, doing that as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what do you think about Blab, real quick, Yolanda? This is your first one jumping in.
It's new. It's really interesting. I like it. I call it the CNN effect because of the four little blocks that are there. And it's kind of nice just to kind of jump on and share the information. And you all were talking about lists a little bit on Twitter, and I just, when people don't understand how to use it yet, and then once they get to using it, that becomes my daily news breaking, same that you said, Cynthia, of going on there and connecting with those that I'm most connected to, and just pushing through and trying to find new information and put it out there to the community.
Can I ask you a quick question, Yolanda, before you jet out? I don't want you to jet out. So you work for, you're in education, correct?
I'm in education.
So I'd like to flip this around, because Dan and David and I are talking about, what's important for a business owner to do for social media. You're, say, our potential client, you know what I mean? And you're looking in at us.
Yeah.
What are the most important things? I know you just said about, the relationship building, but what do you want to see from brands on social media?
When it comes to education, because what I do is I help students to understand about college preparation and getting through college. And so
Right.
I think for us in the education field, it really is just about making sure that help me to understand that question a little bit more about within my field.
I guess if you're on social media, right, and you're on there for what, personal reasons, professional reasons, to engage with other educators,
right,
that sort of thing. What do you want to see from the different people that are on social media? What are the most important things? What's going to get you to engage with them?
Oh, I want to know something new. And I want to know something about, also something about a topic that's really hot. So right now in the education world, money, college loans, scholarships, financial aid, that's a hot topic that's happening right now. So I want to know who's talking about it, who's putting information out there, what questions am I not thinking about as well.
So something of value.
Yes.
You want someone to just not be tweeting and just putting just junk out there. You want something that is going to mean something to you.
Yes,
okay.
Unless, of course, I know you. Now, if I know you and we've engaged and you want to talk to me about your day, hey, that's great too. But if I'm going to really, if I want an influencer, I really want someone who's on it and who knows about what's happening out there in the world of education, so I can stay updated as well and keep my students and families updated.
Yeah. I think that's important for any, it doesn't just have to do with education. Anyone who's on social media, as far as what are you providing a little bit different than the next person? Again, that strategy. Exactly. Are you just throwing a bunch of junk out there, or are you providing value to your ideal clients, to the people that you want to work with?
Exactly. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, thanks, Yolanda.
I'll take care.
Over in the comments, I was talking about my alma mater, Hamilton College, which is a small school in central New York that most people have never heard of.
Oh, wow.
They actually do a great job with their Twitter channel. I mean, where they're talking about alumni and what some of the alumni are doing, what some of the inbound, the students that are sophomores and what they did on their summer internship and all these things, how they're giving back and interacting with the community. And it's interesting from building a brand perspective that, most colleges, I don't think, talk about it the same way. And it gives them a unique platform to really frame the discussion about the college and how, the students are out there, how former students are out there, what they're doing, where you wouldn't get it if you're a prospective student and picking up a book about the college and trying to read about it, or picking up the Princeton Review and seeing the rankings. By them putting out this channel, it really enables them to speak to the community at large and potential students that might be interested in going to them. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say again, thanks to those that are watching us live streaming on Periscope and everybody that's joined us here on Blab. For those that are in the room, the seat's open for anybody that wants to take it. You may have a question about social media strategy and building your business on social media, or maybe you want to make a comment. I think there's been a big shift. At least there's been a shift in my thinking, moving away from simply content and putting content out there on social media, moving towards building relationships. And I see that as two different strategies. David or Cynthia, what are you seeing?
Go ahead, David. I'll let you speak first. If you're if you've got something, go ahead.
That's a big
the guest first. Our guest first. You want to get your thoughts together?
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. I'm just going to wing it. I mean, there's two different pieces, two different things that I do. I mean, I do content, but you know what? If you just think about Twitter, for example, and you just see endless blog and links and stuff like that, it's overwhelming, and you really don't have time to be clicking on all those links and stuff like that. So I definitely do pieces of content, but I really do, every day. How are you doing today? What are you working on? What's happening today? And, in Western Massachusetts. I mean, a big part of it is just letting people know that you care and how can I support you and that sort of thing. And that has mean the absolute world to me and my brand. And, like we said, it takes a while for relationships to build. And I've said this before, Dan, and other things that we have done. People have come to me to do now speaking stuff and, are mentoring, and it's like, how did you find me? Oh, I've been following you for the past 3 years, and I, finally made the decision that, you know what, I'm going to do something. And so it's really that consistency in building that relationship stuff over. Sometimes it takes a few years. It just really helps. So yes, content is great, but again, social media is really about building those relationships. So I really like to keep in tune with those people on my rock star list, especially. Great. Hey, David, good to see you. We'll get to you in just a second. Yeah, I mean, it goes again to the goals of what you're trying to accomplish. Isn't the publishing or the generation of content, that isn't the end goal, just putting stuff out there, but you're putting stuff out there to connect with people and to attract people to your brand or to what you're offering. So back in 2012, the end of 2012, I decided to launch and create the Lead with Giants community. So this is, Lead with Giants is a social media community that spans Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, Facebook. We have groups on all of those platforms. We do a tweet chat on Mondays, 6 p.m. Central Time. The community focuses on helping leaders become better leaders. Now, everyone in this room and everyone in the chat sidebar there, everyone that's on Periscope right now, you are a leader, because leadership is about influencing other people. It's about inspiring people. It's about motivating people. It's about helping people become better at who they are and what it is that they do. Now, with the, I didn't mention Blab yet. So now Lead with Giants is also on Blab. We have our tweet chat on Mondays, and most Mondays following the tweet chat, we have a tweet chat after party on Blab. And so people that we've just been seeing tweets, and we saw the profile picture, now we're having face-to-face conversations across Blab. And we're doing other things, just like this show today. And I mention that to say, we are moving more and more towards building relationships with social media rather than just pushing content. One of the challenges that I've had in the Lead with Giants communities and groups, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+, is with people, particularly bloggers, who want to just post a link to their blog and they never engage. So that's my rant. That was I wanted to get to that. I wanted to get to that point there. How do we move from simply pushing content to engaging? Hello, David. Glad you joined the show. Hi, David. Where are you blabbing from? Yeah, where are you?
I'm in Ireland.
Another Ireland.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm over here in Ireland, and I just wanted to add my little nugget to the conversation was, I think Blab is more. I went off Twitter. Twitter was like a wave of people sending out messages, and it's very hard to decipher good conversations. And what I found was, I work in social media marketing and in IT in general. And what I found is a lot of people on social media have this idea of, I'm over here, do business with me. And somebody once said, if you went into a shopping mall or a supermarket and you said, I'm over here, I'm selling mobile phones, come buy off me, people will walk by you. Whereas if you develop, good content that people are going to be interested in, they'll say, I was reading that David or Cynthia wrote that article last week. They know what we're talking about. Let's get on to them, right? So it's all it's and like Twitter really put me off because, and I know this probably goes against the grain, but I find that social media marketers on social media are 10 a penny, right? So where I want to get my client is probably offline. It's not somebody that's already on Twitter or is on Facebook. My ideal client isn't there in the first place. So I write all these blog posts about, the 10 best tips to, get more Facebook followers.
Hey, David, thank you. But wrap up your point there, and we'll allow someone else to come in.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I do want you to get your point across if there's something else you wanted to add.
Okay, but
we need to be concise because we got to get other people in. We appreciate you so much, David. We appreciate you jumping in.
Yeah, thanks, David, so much.
Thank you so much.
And the other David. Hey, David, I know you wanted to make a comment.
And Jed, I just want to shout out to Jed, who's out there. If possible, if you want to jump in the seat, I know you've been awesome on the chat there. If you have an opportunity, I'd love to hear your points. Go ahead, David.
So I was just going to say that I think the term relationship is a bit misleading. So from a business perspective, when I'm online, when I'm doing social media for my business or for my clients, what I advise them, it's not necessarily about building relationships. It's about earning respect. That everything they do is to earn the respect of the people that are going to be reading their audience, reading their content, reading their shares, engaging with them online. When they publish a blog post, when they make themselves available on social media, when they, ask, how are you today? Anything, doing social listening, any of those things, the main thing isn't necessarily about building a relationship. It's about earning the respect of the person who has a problem, earning the respect of their reader, earning the respect of anyone. And I think that if you're consistent in trying to earn people's respect, even if you disagree with them, even if you hate what they posted, even if you're, fighting back a troll, just simply earning respect, I think that's where the value is in social media. I think that's where no matter what you're trying to sell or not sell, it comes back in spades because you're earning respect from them. And even if they're not the ones buying from you, they're going to recommend you to someone else that might be because you've earned their respect. I think that's where people miss the boat with social media. And it becomes more of a platform for posting and sharing and has nothing to do with that respect element.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Perfect way to segue. Dan, I don't mean to jump in. Perfect way to segue because the respect factor, first time I'm meeting this gentleman online, and this is someone who I really respect. And this is the first time that I'm meeting him today online. So Jed, welcome. I appreciate you jumping on to this great Blab. Thank you.
Bye-bye, David.
Hi there.
We see you, David. Jed, I don't hear you.
Oh, I don't hear you either.
So work on your microphone there and shout something out. Jed
is on like a million blabs. He's on social media guy. So
you have to restart your browser.
Yeah, interesting. Come back on if you can. We'll save a seat for you, please.
Yeah. Browser and come back on. So what do you think about the point that was just made there about it's not about building relationships, it's about respect. I don't think it's either or. I think it's both.
I think respect leads to relationships. I kind of think it's all kind of intertwined in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I think it's both. All right. So Cynthia, you and I have a relationship that up to this point has simply been built across social media. By the way, I'll never forgive you for being an hour away from me this last week and didn't have time to get together.
I can pop out if you want. I can pop out. I know, but I'm going to be back in Texas a few times coming up, so we will make it happen.
Yeah,
we will make it happen.
I know you are. So when we talk about building relationships, what do we mean? What do you mean?
Oh gosh, building relationships. You know what? Just the initial part, just wanting to know a little something about them. It starts off just, tell me about you. Being interested in the other person. That's how it starts in a relationship. Hey, Jed, we're talking about what is a relationship. Yes.
Great.
What do we mean by relationships on social media? Engaging, wanting to dig a little bit further into those really high quality people or people that you perceive to be high quality, getting to know what they're about. And for me, sometimes it's, again, just, Jed and I is a great example is that I've just got to know him through social media recently. And I really am intrigued by what he does. So my relationship with Jed right now is supporting what he posts and putting it out there. That's how our relationship has started. And you know what? Eventually, the goal is that Jed and I, talk more, and we're going to get to hear from him for a few minutes. And you know what? And hopefully down the road, we're very much aligned with each other. You never know. The relationship may build into like a collaborative thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Jed, welcome. Let's have you chat.
Yeah, collaboration, just another word for being social, right? So
introduce yourself and what you do, Jed.
My name is Jed Record, and I own a company called Likeforce, which I put together to fill a gap out there in the marketplace to train and hire college students to manage social media for businesses in the communities that they go to school. And as a consultant that's part of what I do, right? So that's not like most of us, we all have our hands in a lot of different pots. So I am a marketing consultant, and I work with firms of various sizes, helping them, quote unquote, figure out social media. So I typically work on bringing together digital marketing programs with traditional and kind of unifying those messages across the variety of different channels available to brands today. In doing that, a lot of my clients had very highly paid marketing managers generating content for traditional campaigns, digital campaigns, and the management teams were not excited to have these highly paid individuals sitting on Twitter all day. Yet it was difficult for them to find qualified new hires that they could pay at a lower rate who could communicate effectively on digital media. And so that's where I try and reach out and fill the gap by taking college students who are very capable at communicating on digital media, but have no idea how to meet a business objective on social media. And so I try and put that message together for these students and get them to take a perspective to understand both the goals of the organization they're working for, but most importantly, to better understand customers and people who are on social media and what it is that the business they happen to be working with, how that business helps those people's lives. And so I find that when the students are taking a customer-centric perspective while engaging on social media, they realize the pitch isn't what matters. Even the product isn't what matters, but it's the relationship that the customer will begin to have with the company that they're working with and the problems that the customer is trying to solve in their lives that the company can help them solve. So
great points.
Let me ask, Jed, by the way, thank you. Really nice to meet you. I see we're connected on Twitter.
Awesome guy.
Now you're on
I've been following you for a while on Twitter, man. I love your tweets. I'm a big fan of the leadership message, and I've been on the Twitter chat as well. So,
yeah, thank you. So, Jed and Cynthia, what are some big companies that you've had some interaction with in some way through social media?
Go ahead, Jed. If you.
All right. So
you're out there. You're out there in the world. I know you've had some.
So I've had a number of large clients to work with. The most interesting accounts for me are kind of the medium-sized clients because they tend to be the ones that are growing more quickly and are much more interested in leveraging social media for growth, whereas the bigger firms I work with are much more interested in how can we keep from having a disaster on social media. And so that type of engagement for me is not as interesting, but the mid-sized firms are much more interested in leveraging social media for growth and building communities and understanding engagement and how they can deliver a message of trust to their current clients and their prospective clients.
Great. Hey, let's say hello to, is it Titch?
Teach the greats. How are you guys?
Teach the great, the modest, humble, teach the great.
I love it.
I've been accused of many things. That is not one of them.
That's not it. So where are you from? It sounds like you have a New Jersey accent.
Yeah, I'm actually across the pond. I'm in New York. No.
Wow.
I'm in South Africa right now, but I spent the last couple of years in Atlanta. Then before that, I've been traveling for 15 years nonstop.
Great.
So,
excellent.
What I wanted to just contribute to this conversation was I see a lot of people, they come with this one-size-fits-all approach to social media and relationships and all those things, right? I personally believe that it's not always so, right? What do I mean by that? One, the type of marketing or lead generation or whatever you do is determined by one, the cost of your front-end product, two, the lifetime value of that customer, right? So let's say you decide to follow some of the leaders online who say focus on building relationship through social media because it's the new age thing, right? And your product, let's say it's $100, for instance, right? That's the lifetime value of that customer. How many people can you reach that way, right? Through social media. Let's say we reverse the funnel, for instance, using the same identical price point, right? And you go out to acquire leads through paid mediums, right? Through, let's say, it can be data brokers, it can be the mainstream ones like Facebook and all those things, right? You are paying for that person to see your message, right? How many people can you get in front of your message, right? And if you focus on capturing their details, now you own that medium. Now you can talk to those people at any time without maybe waking up tomorrow and Twitter does not want you on Twitter anymore, right? And you lose your millions of followers, right? So what I prefer is you build your list of either customers or potential customers. Then when they are on your autoresponder, then invite them to interact with you through these other social mediums. But if you do it reverse, you better make sure that your price point is high enough for it to make sense. If one sells worth 100 grand, you can afford to do that.
This is not the place to make a speech, but thanks for thanks for a great point. We're looking for shorter sound bites.
No, I'm done. Let me jump off and give the 6 points.
I know why you're Pitch the Great. Thanks for joining the conversation.
You are great. Thanks for joining in.
Appreciate the good contribution.
Ciao. Bye.
Now that's the thing about Blab, and we all can do this. We can get a little long there. I'm going to change the topic here, and if anybody else wants to come in and join us too. So we've been talking about building relationships with social media, and we've been talking about content and so forth. What about spam? Are you guys getting spammed? How are you getting spammed? What do you think about it?
I think we all do. I think
Every
we all
day.
do.
Yeah.
Jed, I'd love to hear your perspective on it if you have something to jump in on right away on that. I mean, I guess, how do you deal with it? Like, do you address it, Dan? Is that kind of how you're asking the question?
So yeah, I've got an experience I'll tell you about in a moment. But go ahead, Jed, if you want to.
Yeah, I'd love to hear Dan's experience. So for me, I've had an interest, and this may be unique to the folks working for me. They're young millennials. They don't really like communicating on email. And so they actually will text message me or use some other type of instant messaging. They like Slack, but text messaging is one app they all have on their phone. So that's quite frequently the way we communicate. I need to have those communications in an organizable and recallable format. So I have a Google Voice number and those text messages go through my Google Voice account and are stored and saved, so I can always recall them by searching through my Google Voice account. So I know the conversation is about spam, but I guess what I'm saying is that we avoid the spam by looking at different channels. And
yeah, so let me say about LinkedIn. So I am pretty much an open networker. If someone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I am probably going to connect with them. I'm going to take a look at their profile first. And so twice this morning I got spammed. I make my email available, my phone number's available. After all, it is social media. I don't mind people connecting with me, but both of those emails, one was a radio host who, you know, I don't know her. We've never had a conversation before. We connected on LinkedIn, and I get it was either an email or the message through LinkedIn, one or the other. I forget which right now. You know, my first interaction with her is she's trying to sell me sponsorship for a program. The second guy who is he says he's with a bank. I sort of doubt it. Connected with him, and I said, hey, I used to work for that firm, and all I get from him is an email that says, hey, I've got this great investment. Email me here at a Gmail address, and I know if he works for that firm that he could not be using a Gmail address for that. So, you know, the spammers are out there, and some of it is sort of, you know, pushing content, but some of it is direct things like that. Do these people not understand the importance of the sales process and building a relationship with your prospects?
Well, Dan, I do have some feedback to that direct question, but I see that Cynthia does too, so I'll try.
No, go ahead, Jed. Go ahead.
So as more and more people come online to the internet, and more people set up their accounts on LinkedIn, and more people set up their accounts on Facebook, your ability to be heard is diminished because there's thousands and thousands of more people out there trying to get their messages across.
Yeah, but Jed, but there's so few that are really trying to build relationships. If you just take the time to comment and connect and have a conversation with somebody, you stand head and shoulders.
But when that occurs, Dan, people resort to more spammy or less ethical practices, and that happens, and I've seen it happen across many different types of channels. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. However, we won't be able to out-educate people on the etiquette on messaging on LinkedIn and email, because they're getting on the internet much faster than we'd ever be able to educate them on that. And the practice that people fall back upon is just blurting, right? And that's what spam is, just blurting your message. So the only defense that I've found is moving to alternate channels to have these conversations. And any LinkedIn message I've ever received that was of any value to me, that person had pre-communicated to me that they were sending me a message on LinkedIn. So I'd get a tweet saying, hey, Jed, great to connect with you. I'm sending you a message on LinkedIn, and I'd know to look for that message. With Cynthia, she and I have a number of ways to communicate. None of them email or through LinkedIn, although we do mention each other now and again on LinkedIn. If she were to reach out to me, I know that she would choose some channels other than that, because we can communicate through Facebook Messenger, for example, which is much quicker, easier, and less laden with spam, but although not forever. So I think moving channels has been has been what I've seen most people doing to avoid.
Yeah, but I don't want to leave LinkedIn because of a couple of spam. But I hear what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And using different channels. So we've been here about an hour. We're going to wrap up. Final comments, Cynthia?
No, I just think it was a valuable discussion. And, you know, just to finalize the thought you all have talked about, I address it. Like, I address the spammers when I can. The people that, like, tag, you know, everything on Facebook, you know what I mean? And they really don't know who I am and stuff, is that I send them a message, and a lot of them just don't know. They are just blurting out, they're trying to get their message, and they don't understand etiquette. So I think it is a learning and growing process, you know, with people. But, you know, as Jed, Dan, and, you know, myself, we're passionate about social media. So I think that this will resonate with a lot of people on the replay. For those of people that weren't on here live. So I appreciate it. And Jed, I really appreciate you joining in today.
Thanks for having me. Great to see you, Dan.
Thanks, Jed.
And Cynthia.
Goodbye to you. Nice to meet Jed face to face. Cynthia, how can people best connect with you?
Let's see. The best way that they can connect with me is with the Twitter handle at the Smart Chick, SMARTCHIC, or smartchick.me. That is my mentoring site. You can go there to join in and definitely connect with me, and I will connect back with you.
Absolutely. And so 2 websites to connect with me. One is leadwithgiants.com, which is the hub of the Lead with Giants community focused on helping leaders become better leaders. And then my business website is leadwithgiantscoaching.com. I'm an executive coach and professional coach, and I help successful people become amazing. So thank you, Cynthia, for being here today.
Thank you.
And
this was a lot of fun.
Seeing you around the community. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us, too, in the sidebar.
Thanks, everyone.
Glad to have you in the comments. Love all you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And to my Periscope friends, thanks for being there.